The village of Clovenfords lies roughly 3 miles from Galashiels in the Scottish borders. It grew up due to the nearby old tower that was once inhabited by the Hop Pringles, who played an important role at the time of the border reivers. William the Lion assembled his army in the area before his ill-fated invasion of Northumberland, and James V gathered his men to chastise the outlawed James Stuart, Earl of Murray, who was at his stronghold in nearby Yarrow, who had also taken the Ettrick Forest by force, with 500 men behind him. The village is also associated with John Graham of Claverhouse, 1st Viscount Dundee, better known as Bonnie Dundee, in the 17th century. A conventicle was being held on Meagle Hill when his men approached and captured the womenfolk and relatives of the landed gentry of the district. They only escaped the very worst of punishments when their menfolk paid the costly fines. At nearby Torwood Lee, one of the last border raids was recorded in 1568. One dark night, John Elliot of Capshaw, Robert Elliot, and Jock Armstrong called on the laird with their accomplices, including the clans of Armstrong, Elliot, Bateson and Grahams, as well as others, amounting to around 300, wearing steel bonnets and carrying lances and pistols. They forced their way in and captured George Hop Pringle, the laird, taking him prisoner, and then killing him. John Elliot was convicted in his absence of the crime. During the early years of the 19th century, the village had a smithy, a joiner's shop and woodyard, where a large amount of agricultural implements were manufactured, and the local inn, the Clovenfords Hotel. Among its famous visitors were Sir Walter Scott and William Wordsworth, accompanied by his sister Dorothy. She wrote about her visit, describing the inn as cheerless and solitary. In the late 1860s, William Thomson began erecting the Tweed vineries, with the first vines, known as Clovenford grapes, planted in 1870. This would go on to become W. Thomson and Sons Limited, which also began selling palm trees, tomatoes, and celebrated manures for vines, plants and vegetables. Thomson died on 12th January 1895, aged 80. The business remained in the family until 1959, when it was sold to market gardener Robert Affleck, but it no longer exists. There is a nod to them in the street names, however. The village also expanded with the creation of fine Victorian villas and cottages, most of which were built in 1870. At the far end of the village was Cadden Meal Mill, run by Alexander and John Smart. Within the mill was a small library for the locals to use. Today, it's a private dwelling. The single-platform train station slightly north of the village opened on Monday, 18th June 1866, part of the extension of the Peebles and Galashiels route, much to the surprise of the public. Captain Rich, the government inspector, had doubts about its readiness due to the state of the high mounding at Rye Haw, but the train company ensured the trains reduced their speed to 3 or 4 miles an hour on approach there. A small goods yard was constructed in the late 19th century. Coal was delivered here and sold to locals, but the line closed on Monday 5th February 1962 due to dwindling passenger numbers. The station building is all that survives and is a private residence, with Station Yard being built on the site of the old goods yard. There are some people who are worth noting. These are the blacksmith, Gavin Donaldson and his wife Peggy Bell. They arrived in Clovenfords shortly after their marriage and lived for the rest of their lives in the village, dying at a ripe old age. Their son, Archie, took over the blacksmiths, but it's now been closed for many years. James Darnley, a joiner and coach builder, also spent his working life in the village and was succeeded by his son James, who carried on the business into the 20th century. There was also George Elder, a wool broker, who always seemed to be happy and cheered folk up. John Lydon taught at the village school in 1792, aged 17, and there is a memorial to him where the old school once stood. He went on to become a minister, which didn't suit him, a historian and a surgeon, but his passion was always writing, especially poetry. He died on Java, aged 35, in 1811. The hotel was one of the biggest employers in Clovenfords. Situated at the junction of the coaching road between Edinburgh and Carlisle, it also led to Galashiels and Peebles. When the coaches ceased, trade fell away, so a smaller two-storey house at the corner, which had once been a dwelling and workshop of the village joiner, gained its licence in around 1833. The original inn was then turned into two houses and became known as Whitbankley Cottages. In 1901, the houses once more became the inn, or rather a fully licensed hotel. Extensive alterations and improvements were made, with the interior being almost completely restructured. A few years after this, stabling for horses and sheds for storing carriages, motor vehicles and cycles were constructed, and a posting business was established. The old house on the corner lost its licence, but instead of falling into obscurity, it became the village post office, telegraph office and telephone exchange office. It was run by Robert Grieve. There was also a village shop, but it closed in January 2017, with the hotel opening a hub. This too has now closed. As mentioned, Scott visited the hotel in December 1799 on his appointment as Sheriff Substitute of Selkirkshire on the 16th of that month, where he stayed until he went to live at Ashiestiel. His work took him to the Ettrick Forest, so the hotel was ideally placed for him when he had to go there. He could easily ride to Selkirk whenever he was required to do so, and was also just a few miles from Yarrow and the forest. It was during this time he picked up local songs and ballads. It was also on an excursion from the hotel that he met James Hogg, the Ettrick shepherd. A papier-mâché statue of Scott was unveiled in 1911 in front of the hotel. Originally designed in 1909 by decorator James Archibald of Galashiels, it won first prize in 1910 at a cycle parade in Galashiels, when it was dressed in a dark coat and trousers. Then was redone with a plaster cast filled with rags and reinforced with metal, then sited at the hotel. The Wordsworths stayed over on the night of 18 September 1803, while on their way to Melrose to visit Scott. They had just finished their tour of the Highlands, and they had promised to meet Scott on the 19th. While at the hotel, they mentioned their meeting and were showered with attention and kindness by the landlady, who told them he was a very clever gentleman and an old friend of the house, spending much time there during the fishing season. Wordsworth later wrote, "From Stirling Castle we had seen the Maisie Forth unravelled, had trod the banks of Clyde and Tay, and with the Tweed had travelled. And when we came to Clovenfords, Then said my winsome marrow, whate'er betide, we'll turn aside, and see the braes of Yarrow. The hotel used to organise excursions from it by coach to places such as St Mary's Loch and to Abbotsford and Dryburgh Abbey at the time of a Mr A.D. Reid, the proprietor. The Clovenfords Hotel has catered for thousands of guests over the years, but today it cuts a lowly figure as it sits empty, waiting for someone new to take the reins of this historic site. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.